So after a good amount of time and thinking and consideration and a little bit of prompting from my wife, I decided to create a pizza mukbang video channel. It's just going to be my name. I'm Heel, and I'm just going to talk about pizza. I really like pizza a lot. It's one of my favorite foods. I also understand some of the science behind pizza. I'm going to introduce pieces of those scientific facts as we go through the different establishments that have their different recipes and their styles of making pizza. But I just want to start off. I'm a New Yorker, lived in Queens, born in Long Island, lived in Manhattan. I've tried a lot of pizza. I make my own pizza, did that for quite some time, and I just love pizza. And I want to just share some of my opinions and feedbacks at different restaurants and places, and maybe even cook some at home. Wife was saying, hey, you should cook at home and show people how you can doctor up the stuff you get frozen from the store. And I'm like, maybe. I mean, if they want, if you post comments like, hey, look, we really want more information on how to make these things better, absolutely love to do it to help you. So the current setting here is Northbrook Court at Tony Brunos. I don't know if you can see the sign over there. And I picked this place because when I was like, okay, let's look at the pizza in Northbrook. I live in Northbrook. I was like, where's the best pizza? Tony Brunos got a 4.8 review rating. I was like, that's pretty good. But when you look at the number of reviews, 13. They really need more reviews, people. If you're in the area, check out Tony Brunos. It's in the Northbrook Court Mall. I've had the pizza before. It's good pizza. It looks pretty legit, but I'm going to go through and kind of talk to you about what I have here in front of me. I'm really hungry. I want to eat, but I want to kind of set the stage first. So I got two kinds of pizza here. So the first one I got was a regular thin slice. You can kind of see here. Right? Pretty thin. One of the things I've learned when I make pizza, there's different kinds of pizza, and there's like what I call thin, thick, and like thin and thick, and thick. There's just different ways and different gradients. But in this particular case, this is just regular thin. If it was thin, it would be like, you'd see like some of those pizza places that have super thin cracker crust. Like you couldn't even pick up a pizza like this, like, and this also is good form. This is the kind of body, like, when you compare it to like wine, this is the body you want on a pizza. Something that's gonna hang down. Something you can like fold in half, walk down the street holding one hand, and in the other hand, you got your drink. So on this pizza too, I don't know if you can tell, I put on a whole bunch of other accoutrement. I put on some red pepper. I don't know if you can see it. I put on a little bit of oregano, right? A little goes a long way. Put a little bit of garlic powder and a little bit of Parmesan cheese. These are the kinds of things I love on a pizza. I could have gone straight and pure, but you know what? I want to enjoy this. I really want to dig in and have a good pizza because I'm starving. The other kind I got that I really actually like a lot is, some people call this deep dish or thick crust. It's Sicilian. This is to me like the thick, right? I've seen like some pizzas that are like thick, but they're not like super thick. So this is basically a big piece of bread with a bunch of pizza toppings on it. I love it. I'm particularly a big fan of the corner, but the guy gave me the edge, which is fine because it's still easy to pick up and eat. I'll get to it in a minute. Lost the pepper. So I'm going to start with this guy here, the thin crust. Well, here's another thing too, right? Look at the bottom. You can see markings on the bottom. They put this on a rack. Those lines mean that it was cooked in a rack. It didn't actually hit the stone direct. Other places also do things like they put cornmeal on the bottom. I got a place in Northbrook I'm going to take you to, but they do that. I don't really like cornmeal on the bottom. If I want corn, I'll go make myself some freaking corn. I don't want it on my pizza. So I'm going to start. Okay. So one of the things too to note, when you look at the pull of the crust, like if it is white, like really white, that's like all-purpose flour, and that's a low gluten rating, and that flour is really not the best for pizza. You want pizza that's going to have a higher gluten rating. When you see this guy, it's kind of like grayish a little bit. It's a higher gluten rating, but I don't think it's the highest for pizza. Usually it's like 14% gluten, and 14% gluten could be a nice chewy crust. It'll get nice and crispy, but this one here, not so much. I'm gonna go for some more. I remember as a kid growing up in Long Island, New York, the oil would drip down the pizza. I thought it was disgusting. And Dad was like, no, it's good for you. It's camel oil. I'm like, camel oil? Oil from camels? That's what he called it, but I think it was just like regular olive oil. You see folded in there? See, what I like about this too is when you peel back the crust, you really should see things like these kinds of bubbles. That means that when the dough hit the pan or the stone inside the oven, that immediately there was some evaporation. That evaporation would become steam and water vapor, and that steam forces the crust to rise ever so much while becoming like dehydrated on this part and getting nice and crispy and cooked. The other part is like becoming a little fluffier and raised, and that helps with the enhancing the chewiness in addition to the sauce. So yeah, you could tell you, like, if you dissect a pizza or you want to like deconstruct a pizza, it's the dough, the sauce, the cheese, and the toppings, right? All these other accoutrements, they're nice to have, but it just enhances flavor. They're kind of optional, but a real pizza is those four things: dough, sauce, cheese, and toppings. That's good. You got a little bit of crunch, a little chew. Garlic powder help. Now, they don't over sauce it. This is not like a saucy pizza. There's some pizzas that are like way saucy. This is like a modestly saucy pizza. Now, everybody's got their own style. They could focus on the bread, right? The crust. They could focus on the flavor of their sauce. They can focus on the cheese they're going to use and the cheese combinations. Usually a mix of like provolone and mozzarella is like the best because it gives you the flavor and then that pull. Watch. No pull. This cheese has no pull. That means provolone, if there's any. I'm not going to taste that sharpness of provolone. There's none in there. It doesn't have that pull. People love it when they bite the pizza and they get that nice pull. MIA. Well, it tastes good. I can see why they gave this place a high rating. I think when it's 13 people that give the rating, it's kind of like friends and family and a couple strangers. Try out Tony and Brunos for yourself. I do recommend it. It's good. I've been here before, not many times, but is it as good as New York pizza? No. But is it good for around here? Yeah, I didn't have to go that far. So, I think that's important. Proximity. It's also a Friday, so today's like a good day. Pizza, beer, wine, bourbon, something fun to drink. You know, kind of start to celebrate the fact that the weekend's coming. I kind of almost want to save this part for dessert. This is what I call, right here, I'm going to show you something. So what do you call that? A crust? It's the crust, all right, but you know what I call it? Pizza bones. Pizza bones. If any of you create a pizzeria and call it Pizza Bones, you owe me. Because whenever I do open up that pizzeria, it's going to be called Pizza Bones. I love pizza bones. I eat my kids' pizza bones, my wife's pizza bones. Just, I'm all about that bone. So, you want to be in a video? Yeah. This one's next. I did enjoy that. Coworker wants to get down with it. Coworker, I mean the employee. I don't work here. The coworker, the guy that works in the kitchen. Oh, that was good. Okay, this guy keeps falling off. I'm gonna eat him now. This is the Sicilian, right? It's a thicker crust. I'm gonna peel that back a little bit, right? It's given more time to rise, and then the bottom. Look at that. It's very different. It's fried in oil. The idea is you're kind of frying this crust. So you got a little, I don't know if you heard that crunch, it's kind of noisy here, but
You get this really heavy, crusty crunch when you peel it back. It is kind of soft and all, but it's not like the other one. It doesn't need that immediate evaporation to rise and get chewy. It kind of does it on its own during the proofing process. The proofing process is when you're rising the dough before you bake it for pizza. That's a big part. Like if you rise it or raise it and punch it down and raise it again, you can get a denser crust. So I'm going to dig in. Okay. I don't like the sauce. Sauce isn't good. It's kind of like, definitely tasting like canned tomato sauce. Not cool. Well, when you have a crust like this, you need to get that. You need a lot of flavor in your sauce. If you kind of go with the same sauce that you have on your thin sliced pizza, on your thick or Sicilian, it doesn't work. It's like same amount of icing on a cupcake compared to a cake. You know, well, maybe that's not a good example, but you see what I'm saying is you don't want to have something that there's so much neutral flavor that when you are actually trying to get flavor, it's cut. And because the actual flavors of the other things are cut by the bread, you need to have like a rich sauce that's tasty. And the cheese too, there's a little pull. It's like it doesn't really, it's the same cheese. God, this is good. It's not horrible. I think the other slice was much better. I also want to do something with you guys where I have one that's plain, no toppings, and one that has toppings. One thing that irritates me a lot about different restaurants is they don't have an even distribution of the toppings. This one's not bad because they come to the crust. Kind of that's where you want them to go. But when they centralize all the toppings and you just get like this barren wasteland of cheese without toppings, it kind of ruins the experience. So these guys didn't do that. Their other pizzas, though, they look fine too. Where did I get this knowledge of distribution of toppings or ingredients? I used to work at Pizza Hut when I was in high school, and that was the one thing they hammered in our head over and over again. Even distribution of toppings. So it's kind of like my pizza Bible. Well, I don't think Pizza Hut's like the best pizza out there, but they certainly mastered the ability to make mass production. Domino's too, hats off. I really like the other one better. But I'm gonna eat this anyway because you don't get this kind of physique by sitting back and passing up meals. Right. All right, we're working on it. Hope the wall's not too noisy for you. Getting into my work. Hope you guys enjoy this channel. I'm going to do it periodically. It won't be anything regularly scheduled, like whenever I have pizza, which again, you know, I'm not the thinnest of persons, and I know too much pizza is not good for you, so today's like a treat. I really want to focus on being that, like, New York, born and bred, pizza kind of bigot, and try Chicago area pizzas. But if I do have to travel, I will try pizzas of other states and even countries. I went to Japan and foolish me tried the pizza. Not so good. No surprise there. So I know I'm going to Iowa next week, and my expectations are very low for high quality pizza, but I'm going to do something similar to what I did here, is search for the rankings, go to that place, give you guys, you know, a quick video. Again, MUKBANG, Chicago pizza guy. from New York. Hey, Chicago pizza guy from New York. We'll call the channel that. They're really dirty. No, I don't know where this is going to evolve. This is the idea for now. If it evolves into other food, that's cool, but that's not really my plan. There's a lot of pizza places out there, a lot of places to try, and some to go back to again and try different things. We got the Stromboli and the Zeppoli, and we got the garlic knots, and so many different things to try. What they do on here is big pieces of sausage. I like that. I don't like it when it's Italian sausage and it's like these little sprinkles. It's like they're ripping you off. The vegetables are cut too thick. They're not really cooked well. It's just like an onion, right? An onion on a pizza. You want that to be thin. You want it to like caramelize up in the cooking process. That kind of really gets your pizza groove on. This one's like, I'm fighting with the vegetables. Falling off. It really didn't get integrated with the cheese. Alright. Almost done. See, this is another pizza bone, but not a good bone compared to like the thin. The thin's good. I would categorize this as like thick. Alright, well, I'm going to keep these short and savory. Not sweet. We eat pizza, we want it to be savory. Those sugary pizzas, hey, it's sugar, but it doesn't really kind of jive with me. Alright, man. I will talk to you folks again when I have pizza again. And this was good for me. Was it good for you too? See you around. This is Heel signing off.